Welcome to the VET S.O.S podcast. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S lifeline. VET S.O.S is brought to you by the Who You Know Network and proud members of the Parade Deck community. We're excited today to be sitting down with Gavin Naples, the Vice President for Homeless Veteran Programs for Tunnels to Towers. Can't wait to hear more about this program and what they're working on to help our community. Just an amazing organization that's doing amazing things across the country, and really just can't wait to get into this one. So, as always, riding along here with Keith. Keith, how you doing today?
It's good to be alive, brother. How you doing?
It's been one of those crazy weeks again, just running and jumping and trying to keep up.
But we're alive. So.
Absolutely.
Better to be seen than viewed, right?
With this face for radio.
Yeah.
All right.
You and I both got that.
All right. So starting as a real estate attorney versed in residential and commercial contracts, leasing disputes, acquisitions, and dispositions, Gavin Naples is now proud to be supporting our nation's heroes as Vice President of the Homeless Veteran Program at the rapidly growing Tunnels to Towers Foundation, which has provided housing assistance and access to supportive services to over 10,000 veterans and 5,000 children since the program's inception in 2023, and is currently developing over 1,500 permanent supportive housing units for veterans in 15 major cities. That is just outstanding, and I've been following this mission for a little while now. So happy to have you here today, Gavin. How you doing?
Good. Thank you very much for having me, Sean. Keith.
This is great. You know, I love this organization. I love what you're doing, so I really can't wait to get into this. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about your journey. How did you get to working with veterans? I mean, you started in real estate, and then now you're supporting veteran homelessness. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
It's funny how life steers you to where you need to be, right? I obviously both of my grandfathers served in World War II. I was in ROTC throughout high school and college. I never served myself, but went to law school and started in real estate. Worked in some big firms in Manhattan, and I'm originally from Staten Island in New York, and there was a posting for a real estate attorney for the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, who I had known about, and they needed someone to come in and purchase land for our homes. This was about 6 years ago. I was the 30th hire there, and fast forward 6 years later, we have over 350 employees spread across 4 major programs, and the foundation has just been exploding. So it's funny how things snowball. But yeah, I started with the foundation purchasing land for our Gold Star program and our Smart Home program. Since the foundation began, we've provided over 1,500 mortgage-free homes to catastrophically injured veterans, the families of fallen first responders that get killed in the line of duty, as well as Gold Star families. And as it sort of grew and snowballed and grew and snowballed, our CEO, Frank Siller, who is just a tremendous visionary in the space of helping veterans and first responders, and has grown, this organization from a kitchen table to what it is today. Right around the end of 2022, he called, myself and a few of the senior leadership into his office, and he said, "I want to eradicate veteran homelessness amongst the United States." He said, "Okay," and he said, "Get it done," which is what he usually says. And we say, "Okay, Frank." So obviously there was a tremendous amount of thought that we had to put into what is a very new space for the foundation, right? But we determined very early on that it's not enough to just provide a high quality housing accommodation for a veteran that may be struggling. You really have to provide that access to supportive services to address those root causes that exist. So after a lot of consideration, we developed a few different pronged model to address this problem nationally. The first is our veterans villages. And so what we do is we purchase either hospitality properties or raw land, and we develop long-term supportive housing complexes for veterans. It's permanent housing. Veterans can live there for as long as they want. It's not federally funded. It's not state funded. It's all privately funded. But we have a comprehensive supportive service wraparound model that encompasses peer support and case management and behavioral health assistance, entitlements assistance, employment assistance, legal advocacy, and just a very thought out and comprehensive wraparound service that's provided free of cost to the veterans, and it's going to be provided by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. And then for ancillary services, we partner with other organizations in the same space of helping veterans for pet therapy and art therapy, and music classes and cooking classes, fishing trips. And the amount of things that come out of the community that want to give back to our veterans is just tremendous. With third graders that write Valentine's Day cards, and people that knit us quilts and Thanksgiving turkeys and Christmas cookies, and it galvanizes the community so much. And we sort of set them up as conduits for organizations and for community members in the same space to be able to funnel their goodwill through these places. So as I said, yes, we have 15 projects in pre-development and development right now throughout the nation. Many, many, many more to come. We're currently operating in Houston, Texas, a couple sites out in California. We have projects in the works in Bradenton, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Birmingham, Alabama, Buffalo, New York, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Toms River, New Jersey. We're doing something in Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, 12% of the population of the 3.2 million people that live in Puerto Rico are veterans that serve. And Detroit, Las Vegas, Denver, just all over the place. We're going to be building these to address the problem where it is greatest, right? Triage the problem in large metros. But a second prong of our program, and stop me at any time, because I could go on.
Keep going.
Yeah. Making our job easy.
But the second prong of our program is our National Case Management Network. And that is a national blanket that we have cast for veterans and their families anywhere in the nation where they are. So if you're in North Dakota or in Arkansas or in Staten Island or Atlanta or Houston, but you're outside of one of these large metros where we're going to be developing it, or you're inside of one of these large metros, but you got a family of 6 that is not going to fit into one of the veterans villages, we wanted to be able to provide the same sort of care model to those veterans and their families. So our case management team, which is growing every single day here in New York, onboards these veterans from anywhere in the nation. We get hundreds and hundreds of calls every single month. We provide them financial assistance, first month's rent, second month's rent, security deposits, broker's fees, applications fees. We pay mortgage arrears, we pay rental arrears, we pay utility arrears to make sure veterans aren't backsliding into homelessness and they can stay into their homes and their apartments. And we work with the VA and the COCs across the nation to get these veterans into stabilized housing and their families that fit their needs, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedroom houses, apartments. And then we work with an interconnected web of over 1,000 organizations right now, and that's growing every day as well, for if you need an attorney in Arkansas, or you need a PTSD or mental health clinic in North Dakota, or you need an employment opportunity in California. We have this web of organizations, small, medium, and large, that we partner with and that we work with, that they help us when we have a veteran that is in need, and they also reach out to us if they need help with their veteran. But so it's growing so rapidly now, but we want to be able to help any and every veteran that can come, that reaches out to us, so that their physical location is not a barrier to them getting stabilized housing, and then also the access to the services that they need.
It's fantastic, and there's so much packed in there, Keith. I don't even know where to begin.
I think my biggest thing is I am absolutely blown away at the explosion of this program, right? There's 44 to 47, depending on which statistic you read, 1,000 nonprofits out there in the veteran space. And many of them have been around for years. You folks have, I mean, rightfully so, you've exploded. You've used that word a few times, and it's mind-blowing, mind-boggling to me how you all have grown. And again, rightfully so, you all are doing a tremendous service to our veterans community. But I'm just curious, how are you all growing? What are your secrets? Like, how do we get our podcast at that level of reach? But but no, seriously, because real estate ain't cheap, right? So on top of that, how are you? I know you said you're all privately funded, but I mean, your marketing people must be getting paid good money.
Well, it's that New York grit. But no, I mean, it really is a chicken and the egg scenario. We work very quickly. We are not beholden to any sort of governmental funding, which allows us to move very quickly. There's no red tape. right? So we're able to effectuate projects and get things off the ground in a very, very tight time frame. And we show the public exactly what we're doing. 95 cents of every dollar goes away to our programs. We have the highest rated charity navigator for transparency and accountability. So people see that, the American public sees that, and what we're able to accomplish, and then they are able to donate, and then with those donations we provide more, and more donations come in. So it really has spurred organically that way. We have hundreds of thousands of people, American public, that give $11 a month with corporate sponsorships, and it's a tremendous amount of goodwill that has been built since obviously Stephen Siller's tragic journey through the World Trade Center, through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel into the World Trade Center, and it has just exploded. But it's our ability to provide results that I think really resonates with people.
You guys do happen to have like every spokesperson in the world too. It's every time I see a commercial, it's a new spokesperson. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that have been very good to our foundation, has pushed things out to explain, what we're doing and why we're doing it. But Frank Siller and the board have made a commitment to the American service member, anyone that puts on a uniform, that if you kiss your children and you kiss your wife or your husband, and you go out and you defend our country in whatever way it is, and you don't return home, we will take care of you. We'll either pay you your mortgage off or provide you a new home. And obviously now, with our newest program, if you're a veteran that is struggling with homelessness or is homeless, we will provide housing and access to services to you.
That's fantastic. So you alluded to Stephen a minute ago. In case we have people watching who aren't familiar with tunnels and towers, can you give us a little bit of the background story on the organization?
Absolutely. So Stephen Siller was a Brooklyn firefighter, and he was an orphan himself, him and his 6 brothers and sisters, a father of 5, and he was off duty on the morning of September 11th. He was going to play golf with his 3 brothers, including Frank, and he heard that the South Tower had been hit by the airplane. So he drove his car to the base of the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which connects downtown Brooklyn and downtown Manhattan. It was closed to vehicular traffic for security concerns, obviously, because what had occurred. So he got out of his car and he put 60 pounds of gear on his back, and he ran nearly 3 miles through the underground tunnel into the South Tower without a hesitation, up the stairs, and his body was never recovered. He died that day, saving others. So from that sacrifice, his brothers and sisters got around a kitchen table and said, we need to honor what he did for our country. And so they began the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. And as I said, from that kitchen table, they've grown it to an organization now that has did just over $500 million last year. 95 cents goes away to our programs, 1,500 plus mortgage-free homes, and over 10,000 veterans, 5,000 children that we provided access to housing and services for.
That's just absolutely amazing and fantastic. Well, tragic, but also a fantastic story of how the organization started. What spawned it, and how the family rallied. Just absolutely love that. So with this program, the Homeless Veteran Program, do people just contact you to apply? Or do they go to the actual facility? Like, how does that part work? And then also, do you have like cities petitioning to try to get a facility as well? I would imagine at some point that would start if it hasn't.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so you can go to t2t.org. All of the information on our program is located there. Veterans can apply through there. You can apply on behalf of a veteran if you'd like as well. A lot of people reach out and say, I have someone in my neighborhood who's proud, or whatever it is, or a VA agent. We work with over 2,500 VA agents across the nation right now with our HUD-VASH services program through our homeless veteran program. But they can reach out to us and they can apply for our program, and we assign them a case manager. And we have employment teams, we have housing teams, behavioral health teams, whatever veterans need. They can also apply for our villages as well. And to answer the second question, yes, there's quite a lot of cities that have been reaching out to us, and a lot of people that drive by buildings that have ideas of what it could be. But we're hyper fixated on where the need is greatest, right? Sort of a utilitarian approach, if you will, to go to these large cities where the need for permanent affordable housing is greatest. There are a lot of transitional programs that exist throughout the nation. There are a lot of shelters that exist throughout the nation. But what we sort of found early on is that long-term solution doesn't necessarily exist in droves, right? There are funded programs where you can go for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, but then the funding runs out and you have to go somewhere else, and then somewhere else, and then somewhere else. It's this never-ending cycle. So we're positioning ourselves, and have done so, as the permanent housing supportive service providers in this space. So our ultimate objective is reintegration and family reunification and job placement, and having veterans go on to buy their own homes, get larger apartments, reconnect with their families. But if it's a veteran's last stop, right? I think your Vietnam War era veterans, or someone that's a little bit older that's going to have a little bit more trouble assimilating. They're perhaps on a fixed income and they're not looking to be gainfully employed. They can stay there for as long as they want, right? And they have skin in the game. The veterans pay rent. It's artificially low, and where it's a good deal. They never pay more than 30% of their income. All the utilities are fixed in to the rent, and all the supportive services are provided free of charge. But it starts with financial literacy. It starts with, again, that platform of services for that road of rehabilitation and reintegration.
That's fantastic. And as you're telling me this, just all kinds of things going through my mind. First one was I started to envision like the Olympic selection committee trying to pick a city, and how chaotic that could be. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are going after it systematically. But just so many different organizations I can think of that I think would be great partners for some of the things that you're offering. But what do you think, Keith? I mean, this is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, no. Again, I'm in awe. I mean, I've heard of the organization, but I never did a deep dive prior to this to really see what y'all are doing. And again, because y'all, I mean, are just exploding onto the scene seemingly. What I also am touched by the fact that it's also first responders, because I'm in Virginia Beach, and we recently had 2 officers, I'm just say it, murdered in the line of duty very recently. And so I might even see if there's any way we can connect them with you all as well, like their families, I should say, because it's just, yeah, I mean, the service members and the veterans, for the last 20 years we've been, but I mean, yeah, our law enforcement and all of our first responders are on that proverbial front line every single day. So the fact, I mean, this was birthed out of the first responder community. So, that's really just kind of y'all's grassroots thing. I'm just in awe of this thing. So, people, can sign up for it, but the people who want to, I'm not even going to say, donate, because I'm sure they can go to the website, donate money. But let's just say there's a provider, like a mental health provider, or somebody that's listening in, that's touched by this, or an organization that, because we've had other groups that provide, mental health services to our veteran communities. Like, how can some of these folks that provide services also reach out to you and get connected?
Absolutely. And just to go back to your point before for a moment, the officers that were slain, if any first responder that leaves behind small children, we've probably already contacted them. I don't know exactly whether the family demographic of those officers, but if they have small children, their mortgage is usually paid off before they're in the ground. So our team does that hyper.
Wow.
So I don't know specifically that case or that family composition, but what I can tell you is we're incredibly responsive on that front.
Wow.
As to the service providing question, yeah, people reach out to us every day, and I love the strange ones, right? We had someone reach out to us the other day that wanted to provide acupuncture. Another person wanted to create an aquarium for our Houston Veterans Village. But service providers, they can go to our website, and there's ways to contact us. And we have a team that intakes all of that information, and we calibrate expectations based on when a village is coming online, right? But they can start providing those services, and if it's complementary to the meat and potatoes functions that we provide, we love to funnel that in. We want it to be the most comprehensive place possible, and we work out basically a monthly calendar where we'll have white shoe law firms come in and offer pro bono assistance for veterans, for family, or for real estate, or for wills trusts, or whatever it is. And we have cooking classes, art classes. We had a team come out and take the veterans on an ATV ride through the desert a couple of weeks ago. It really is a great place to, or offer those therapeutic things that make a house into a home, right? It can't always be about case management and behavioral health. There needs to be things that make the veterans feel that they're a part of the community, which is another big part of our acquisition process. I'm very hypersensitive on, we don't build in industrial areas. We don't build out in the boondocks. We build where you can walk to a mall, and you can walk to a restaurant, you can walk to a shopping center. These are in commercial districts that are adjacent to residential, so they're very well situated to where they feel a part of the community.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And I've heard some organizations talk about trying to build like in the vicinity of a VA hospital, just so that they have that type of capability. And now, granted, there's a lot that are already in existence, and that could be hard. But so, can you give us a little glimpse of the future with this program? Some things that maybe you guys are eyeing or looking at?
Absolutely. Yeah. So many more villages to come, right? Our Atlanta Veterans Village will be open this summer. We have Charleston and Memphis and Detroit and Denver that'll be open the end of the year into quarter 1, quarter 2 of next year. Our Bayville, New Jersey project, and we have a Buffalo project be open next year. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, right on the Susquehanna River, riverfront property, gorgeous. And just many more to come. A few more in Florida. Florida is very, large hotbed for veterans, as well as Texas, Dallas, Jacksonville, Cleveland, a few out in California, Phoenix, Tucson. Just more villages, more permanent supportive housing, expanding our national case management network, and working with both, the VA and other organizations to chop down that number to where we're getting to, a national functional zero that is actually real, right? There's a lot of statistics of, you mentioned it, Keith, 42, 47,000. The number's much higher. That goes on chronically homeless, right? There's veterans that are sleeping on their couch or sleeping in a van for 3, 4, 5 weeks that are not chronically homeless. That's pretty homeless to me, if you ask me. So we're very inclusive in our definition of someone that may be struggling. So if you don't meet those other definitions that are federally, sort of put there with those parameters, we take you. If you're about to lose your home, that qualifies you for assistance. So we're trying to stop the bleeding, right, and then really chomp down on that number.
Yeah, and even the fact that you just mentioned, if you're about to lose your home, I mean, with the certain things that are going on in current events right now, there's a lot of veterans that are employees that are looking at, some of them have already been let go, and even more are looking at. So even just that insight, hey, I may have a lifeline if it gets to that level of drastic situation. So I'm just kind of curious, like we can be an ornery bunch. We can be a stubborn group of folks. So I'm just curious, because you mentioned like other people can sign a veteran up that's in need. For those that just, they need the help, but they don't want to admit that they need the help. I'm just curious, like even just like a funny story, or just like what does the organization do to try to help grease the skids, I guess, of just getting these stubborn veterans to accept, hey, you could use the help. It's not a sign of weakness. Let us help you out.
Of course. Obviously that's very nuanced. We do have people that will advocate on behalf of the veterans, and we work with them. There are people that are technologically, not as adept, right? We reach out to them on the phone, and we work very closely with them on pre-screening to make sure it's as nice as possible, process as possible. We incentivize them highly to not only take advantage of our program, but what we want to do in terms of increasing their VA benefits or their entitlements. If they're currently employed, if they'd like, more entrepreneurial career path, right? We're trying to stay away from mundane jobs, but real sort of, things that have trajectory and scope. We love the construction industry. We have a lot of national partners that help us with that. Home Depot, GMC. that are national providers, that you can be a 9 to 5 laborer, or you could have a multi-million-dollar HVAC business, and everything in between, right? Things with scope. But yeah, there's quite a few funny stories. But at the end of the day, we're helping a lot of veterans. We're helping a lot of children, which is near and dear to the organization's heart. That's really how it started. Because Stephen, again, he left behind 5 children. So it's every day is something different. But it's incredibly gratifying to be able to see the people you're helping, and help them with that push in their life.
That was an expert professional way to
Loved
get around your honorary comment. I love it.
Oh, I'm gonna turn it.
Well done. Well done. Well, I know we're getting close to the end. Gavin, I want to thank you so much for coming on here. I am just a huge fan of the organization, and really excited to hear there's something coming to Jacksonville where I live. So, be looking forward to seeing how that develops, and how we can help the community down here, and just obviously wish you guys the best, and anything we can do for you here at VET S.O.S. We're all on board.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me. Again, you can go to t2t.org, see everything about our programs. And if anyone ever needs anything, specifically, please feel free to reach out to us, reach out to our program, and we'll make sure it gets taken care of.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so y'all heard it. Yeah. Reach out to this organization. If you listen to this episode and you're not touched and wanting to help, I mean, just the care, right? I mean, the fact that you're reaching out to these, like the 2 police officers from Virginia Beach, that you probably already reached out to them, their families, and like, this is an amazing organization. So for all those of you who are listening, if you are able to give in any way, shape, or form, this is definitely one of the good ones out there to not that our other guests in the past aren't, obviously, but no, this is an incredible organization, and it's fighting a good fight, right? It's such a broad spectrum that they're addressing, right? Homelessness and mental well-being, and just financial issues and everything. So no, thank you so much for coming on today, Gavin. It's been an amazing episode, and I'm so grateful for what you all are doing. So on behalf of the veteran community, thank you, good sir. On behalf of the VET S.O.S family, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. VET S.O.S is growing and spreading its wings. You can follow us on all of the social media platforms. Make sure to check out all 3 of our shows, and follow and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from. We're on YouTube, Reach Across America Radio, Parade Deck, and all those other goody platforms that you'd like to get your shows on. And remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline.